Welcome to Discuss With Us podcast, where we are unpacking the world through a Christian lens. I am your host, Darcy Durkowski, along with my husband, Brian, and our intention is to pose topics, trending and otherwise, and unpack them with the help of some research, insights from our different backgrounds, and even some listener input in a way that is thought-provoking and entertaining. So get comfortable, grab your favorite beverage, and discuss with us.
Welcome back to another episode of Discuss With Us. Darce on the ones and twos. How you doing?
I'm good.
It is officially summer.
Yeah.
Maybe not on the calendar, but for people with kids it is.
Yes, it is. And temperature-wise where we're at, but
It's hot.
definitely with the kids. So today's topic is I'm calling it summer ideas. So I have it labeled here.
Ooh.
And we have a guest lined up too to join us.
Saves us from talking all the time.
Yeah, but I want to give a little background on where I came up with this topic. So
Okay.
last year, we decided that we wanted to keep the boys home from school as much as possible to give them a true summer. But obviously, we still work, so we had to do something. And we're lucky enough that we have a nanny that helps us out part time. Leanne's been
Shout out
great.
Leanne.
Yeah, shout out Leanne. You'll hear her name again, I'm sure. She does a lot for us and has been with us from the beginning. So,
Yes.
But anyways, first of all, she was going to be watching multiple kids with them being out of school, and then also just not wanting them to end up sitting in front of the TV all summer. So I talked with her and I was like, hey, if we come up with like a little homeschool type curriculum, just to give a little, like very lax, obviously, because I
Got your
don't.
inner teacher out, didn't you?
I did. It's my personality type.
Exactly.
But I was like, it's not going to be, we don't have to be hard and fast about it. It can be very lax, but I think if we give some structure to it, it will help the boys behave better and, help keep all of y'all from getting bored and fussy. And thankfully, she was very much on board. So we did that, and I would say it was successful.
Yeah, I think they enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, honestly. I enjoyed it because it helped me to feel like I was involved, because I was very involved with what they were doing. So what I did, I created an Excel file.
Of course you did.
Actually, I created two. So one, they were both calendars, and when I say curriculum, it sounds like I like wrote out this, all of this 2-page, 3-page curriculum. I did not. This was like 4 or 5 bullet points with some notes on each day that she was going to be here for us to homeschool. And so that was one of the files. And I just did like themes or what I wanted them to review, just threw some ideas out there. And she helped me with some too. And then the second Excel file was, again, a calendar, but for lunches.
Oh, yeah, you were like the lunch lady.
Yes, because the other thing, I didn't want them ending up in front of the TV the whole summer. And the other thing I didn't want them to end up doing was eating PB&Js all summer.
Yeah.
And if I didn't plan ahead, that would more than likely be the case.
Groceries are too expensive. You got to plan it out.
They are. And that was the other thing. It kind of helped, like as I was meal planning,
Yeah,
then
we
I
do
could.
dinner, but lunch is usually an afterthought.
Exactly. Lunch is an afterthought, but not last summer. So I was then able to kind of add to our list what we needed, to hopefully make it a little bit better lunch. We fell into the same routines toward the end,
Of
but
course.
made it through for a while. So it was helpful. So what I did is I would just provide that to Leanne, shared it with her, and any resources she wanted to bring, she could. But I would try to kind of have organized the day before whatever they were going to be using. So, but looking at doing that again this summer. But as I was thinking about it, I was like, this might be a good topic. And then I thought of my friend Callie, and I thought,
Yeah.
why just make this a me thing? Let's get some input from somebody who I think she was a teacher before, and she has recently started homeschooling her kids.
Ooh,
So we'll get into that and everything. But I just thought she might have some good ideas for us.
perfect.
And so yeah, we'll talk to her and we'll get Callie on the line. All right, tonight we have Kali Beal with us. Welcome to the Discuss with Us podcast.
Thanks, Darcy and Brian.
Yes.
Yes, we're. I'm so excited to have you. It's funny. We were offline discussing how we knew each other. And it took us back. I guess what 15 years now, something like that.
Hey, are
Yeah.
you aging us?
I am aging us a little bit. And so Callie and I, we met briefly at Blinn, yeah, about 14, 15 years ago, and then have been Instagram buddies ever since. And
Thank you,
so,
social media. It's not
yes,
all bad, right?
I know, it does keep people well connected, um, for better or worse, I guess. But in this case, it's definitely better because I have thoroughly enjoyed your page and keeping up with you. So, and that's
Thank
what's
you.
brought
I
us here.
appreciate that.
Yeah. So, we're talking about summer ideas on this episode. And before we dive into all that, I wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of introduce yourself and give us a little background on you and your family.
Cool, thanks. So, as Darcy said, my name is Kali Beal. We lived in Early, Texas, which is just outside of Brownwood. My husband runs the hunting operation of the family's ranch, and I
Very
am
cool.
a stay-at-home mom slash homeschool mom slash
All the things.
all the things, yes,
Yes.
that come with that title.
I feel like a lot
So
of people don't realize, like with your husband's job, when,
yeah.
it's not just deer season. I feel like when you're doing a ranch like that, but when it is deer season, especially, all the seasons
hmm
really, man, that's some long hours for him, aka some long hours for you.
Preach, girl. Yes, yes. I'm pretty much, I feel like a widow during hunting season for sure. It's like he gets home and we're already asleep. And so,
Yeah.
he'll come in and kiss me goodnight. And then
Mm-hmm.
he's up before we're up in the mornings and he's back off to work. So,
Yeah.
yes, we love hunting season, but we are not mad when hunting season comes to an end.
Yep. Yep.
I
Like
bet.
all good things, right? Um,
Yes.
I've we've gotten a taste of that because one of Brian's high school longtime friends is the manager at Ox Ranch, and same thing.
Okay.
We see them, and it's like, he has a wife and a little daughter who's three ish.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm
Maybe
guessing there.
four now.
Yeah, maybe so. We lose you lose track. It happens so fast. But
You do.
anyways,
Yeah.
they go through the same things, and I think typically they'll take like a vacation when it's over. Like, okay,
Yeah.
reconnect.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Same.
Okay.
I can relate to that big time.
Yes. Yes. Okay. And then, so tell us the ages of your kids.
Yeah. So Preston is 7
Hmm.
and Madison is 4. She just turned 4 in April.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. And so let's dive into this. One of my first questions, because I don't think you always did. Did you always want to homeschool?
I did not. No, I actually went to school to become a teacher.
Okay.
Um, and I taught in a public school for 2 years. I taught and coached,
Okay.
and always just assumed, this is where my kids will go. My kids will go
Hmm.
to this, small little public school. I grew up in a public school,
Right.
but it wasn't until like fast forward many years later, when Preston was finishing up pre-K,
Okay.
in like a little Mother's Day out program,
Hmm.
and it was time to think about kindergarten. And just out of nowhere, I say out of nowhere, I mean it had to have been there all along, but it
Right.
felt like out of nowhere I was just like weighed down with this like intense desire to homeschool.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just, I like had so much anxiety about it. I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, Lord, what are you trying to tell me, you know? And
Right.
so I talked to my husband about it, and initially he's like, absolutely not. Homeschool? Are you crazy? Like, why would you want to do that? I'm like, Jonathan, I don't know. I'm just telling you, like, the Lord has
Mm-hmm.
placed this on my heart, and I've never felt so strongly like this is something that I need to listen to.
Right.
Um, and he was concerned more so about me. Like, you realize that means no breaks, you
Yeah.
know, like that's going to be a lot on you. You already stay home with them,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're not going to get to send them to school for a couple hours a day. That, like, I
Right.
know you appreciate that time to yourself.
Yeah.
um
I
yeah,
feel like
and
what a lot of people are maybe starting to weigh a little bit is like,
mhm,
yes, you don't get any breaks, but when you consider, and I know we can definitely say this, when you consider kind of the stress behind getting them ready for
mhm,
school, getting them to school on time, and all those things, it starts to be more of a balance, like more of a trade off,
mhm.
pretty even trade off, maybe. I don't know.
Yes, absolutely. I'm here to tell you, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just said, listen, I know it's going to be hard. I know this is, it's this new journey, it's this new adventure, and
Yeah.
we're all in it together. And don't think there won't be hard days, but
Hmm.
please just trust me when I tell you that, like, I'm going to figure it out,
Yeah.
like, I'm here to figure it out. And he just said, okay, if that's really what you want to do, then, I support you.
Hmm.
And, luckily we're actually not fully homeschooling. There is a classical Christian school here,
Oh, excellent.
well, in town. And
Okay.
so that essentially means Preston goes to school on Mondays and Wednesdays,
Okay.
and then I pick up the curriculum and I'm homeschooling him the other days of the week.
Oh, that's really neat. So,
That's cool.
it's like I had no idea. So I knew you had done like a Mother's Day out before, but is this
Mhm.
kind of in conjunction, like your curriculum, you're following what he would be doing at the school if he was there full time? Somewhat.
Yeah, well, so the Mother's Day out was like, that was like a preschool. That was
Yes.
something different. Yeah, so whereas this one, yeah, it's like, I was a teacher, so we write the lesson plans,
Mm-hmm.
and so exact same thing, except his teacher is, writing out the lesson plans, and so we have them, a full week ahead of time, and we just print them out, and Monday I get to see what they did at school,
Mm-hmm.
and then, Tuesday I see, okay, this is all on me. This is what I am required to teach him before he goes back to school on Wednesday. And then they teach him again on Wednesday. And
Mm-hmm.
then we've got, well, really Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday
Yeah.
to get, the next 2 days worth of work completed before he goes back on Monday.
That is fascinating. I've never heard of like a hybrid like that.
It's the perfect balance. So I do get that time to myself, those 2 days, and
Yeah.
I appreciate them,
Yes.
and I think I've told other friends, I'm like, I'm better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a better mom. I'm a better teacher, all the things. I'm a better everything on that Monday and that Wednesday, or I'm sorry, on the home days, because
Yes.
I have those 2 days just to do whatever, whether it's go to the gym, whether it's
Yeah.
to go back to bed and sleep, whatever I need in that moment.
Yes.
Got to refill my cup.
Yes, for sure. Um, so tell us a little about the structure of your days, and like what parts of it are more freestyle? What kind of boundaries have you set? What does that look like?
Good question. I think as a mom, you probably recognize that if I'm up before the kids get up, we're probably going to have a pretty good day.
Yeah.
It's and like that sets the tone so much for us. If I make it a point to get up, do my thing, make breakfast, deep dive into the word, whatever I need, that in that those morning moments when it's still quiet, right? And the house is still, and no one's, barking orders for breakfast and refilling their orange juice and all of the things.
Yes.
And so I really try to make it a point to get up early and do whatever I need to do before the kids get up. And then from there, I know we'll talk a little bit about this, but like I don't turn the TV on. I'm not like, hey, go watch cartoons while I do this. Um,
Hmm.
I try to have things set out so that, and we don't rush straight into school by any means.
Okay.
I love our slow mornings. I think that's also the beauty of homeschooling is you get to dictate that. Um, but I'll make them breakfast. I'll have my cup of coffee, and a lot of
Hmm.
times we'll do like that's when we'll do our read aloud.
Okay.
With and we read a lot. We read like the classical literature. All the books that I feel like in other schools are going to be banned eventually. Like
Yes.
we're the classics that we're reading, and even Madison, my 4-year-old, eats it up.
Yeah.
And so, the kids might be doing a puzzle, or I might, in my mind, if you're looking at them, you might think they're not paying attention at all. They have no idea what I'm
Hmm.
saying, but they're listening and
Yes.
retaining what I'm reading to them with the read alouds. And so,
Yeah, so you're
um,
not making them like, hey, sit in your circle there and listen to this. They're kind
right,
of, you're just reading as they do their thing.
as they do their thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. And you're right, because
Yeah.
I remember, um, with our first, it's bad, but you have so much more time and
Ugh.
energy and like concentration with your first. So I remember
Wow.
with June, our oldest, we would read to him when he was little, 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 little. I mean,
Hmm.
barely sitting up. Um, and probably felt a little silly at the time, but we liked it. He's he's our only kid. It was like, this is our
Right.
nighttime routine. But he so quickly would hold the book and ask for the books and flip the pages,
Oh.
like even before he was walking and stuff, and sit there and
Mhm.
listen.
Mm.
And so it is just kind of crazy what they're capable of and what focus they're capable of, even at young ages.
Yeah, well, you hear about like read to them when they're in the womb, and
Yes,
it's good for their brain development. So
yes, yes.
I'm all about it.
Yeah. And then another kind of boundary, quote unquote, that I heard you say is you don't turn on the TV in the morning.
I don't.
Yeah.
I try my hardest not to. If by the off chance they do get up before me, I hear the TV on, and that's
Surprise.
what gets me up. Okay, time to get up. But no, I really try hard to keep that TV off.
Hmm.
A lot of times, like even this morning, I'll turn on just some like really soft instrumentals
Hmm.
so that that's in the background
Yeah.
kind of all day long, and that I notice it's just kind of it chills us all out,
Yeah.
and it just puts us all in a good mood.
I like that too. I like that little suggestion.
Yeah.
I know with us, um, we were flying by the seat of our pants. We were in a season where we were like flying by the seat of our pants in the morning. And finally
Okay.
Brian was like, okay, we've got to change something
Mhm.
because we're barely making it out the door. It's nuts in
Mhm.
here, and a lot of it was like you were saying, like we were having a hard time getting up, so we kind of backed that up a little bit, where we
Mhm.
were trying to get up, before the kids, so that we could get the show on the road. But also, one thing that he did is he was like, okay, they have to get up and get dressed and eat their breakfast before we turn the TV on
Mhm.
because and if they can do those things and it gets done and there's time before we're leaving to wherever we're going, taking them to school or whatever,
Mhm.
then they can watch some TV, but we can't do it until then because you just totally
Yeah.
lose them.
You do.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember before I started setting those boundaries, like Okay, just turning the TV on so that I could get them dressed,
Yes.
like in
Oh,
those,
I know.
like, okay, you just sit there and be mesmerized by whatever trash you're watching, and I'm gonna do
Yeah.
your hair.
Yeah.
you know?
No, and that's how you get there, right? Because you're like, and that's how we were getting there because, they're up and they're like, I want chocolate milk. I want, where's my breakfast? And it's like, okay, let me turn the TV on so
Mhm.
I can take care of all that. And like I
Yeah,
said, part of
it's
that was
easy.
us needing to, get up earlier anyways.
Right,
Um, but no, it does kind of work in reverse, if you can,
right.
and I've been able, like, sometimes it's tough because there's messes made, but hey, whatever, I have to fight through.
Yeah.
But I have, like Clyde, he's our early bird, and so he comes in now and helps me fix the chocolate milk. He wants to stir it and all the things
Oh,
and
I
scoop it in
love
there.
that.
Um, and do that, instead of like before, he was just like yelling at me from the couch, "Where's the chocolate milk at?" Brian can attest to that. I'm not lying.
I love that. They need jobs. It's good for them to have little jobs, even like
Yes.
making chocolate milk in the morning.
Right, right. Okay, and so another question that I had was in regards to your curriculum, which we kind of, I think, touched a little bit on. Um, and I don't even know enough about curriculums. Is there multiple curriculums under the classical Christian education, or is it all like explain that a little bit to me and
Yeah,
what have
yeah,
you liked
good
and what have you
questions.
used?
So, as far as curriculum goes, I do what they're telling me,
Yeah,
right? Because I'm doing what the school and the teacher are writing out.
yeah.
However, like the premise of a classical education, it's basically like a conscious return of like that ancient goal of education, basically teaching our kids how to think and learn for
Mm-hmm.
themselves rather than what to think.
Yeah.
Does
No,
that
I
make
like that.
sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's really like fostering those tools for learning.
Mm-hmm.
And the older they get, it 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 changes, it transitions. So like right now we're in the grammar stage,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to be like K through 5. So we Preston is going into second grade next year. So we still have a little while in this grammar stage. So it's a lot of memorization, recitation, repetition,
Mm-hmm.
songs, chants. And as far as like the biblical parallel, it's knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And from here, we'll go into the logic stage, which is 6th through 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they're really developing that critical reasoning,
Yeah.
analysis, debate, arguments, but like respectfully,
Yes.
and the biblical parallel is going to be that understanding.
Mm-hmm.
um, and then from there is the rhetoric stage, which is grades 9 through 12. Now his school does not go to 9 through 12 yet, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
hopeful by the time we're
Yeah.
there, by the time we get to that point, that it will,
Yeah.
because that's when they go into their, synthesis and integration, wisdom, and
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, all of those put together, like that's how mastery happens.
Yeah. Yeah. So we our kids go to a school that is that teaches the classical Christian education.
Awesome.
So I'm, as you're saying more of it, I mean, I've asked questions about it, but we aren't in, my kids are younger, so there's less I
Yeah,
know. So I'm sitting here
yeah.
like, oh, yes, I
You
love
have
it.
things to look forward to.
Yes, for sure, for sure. So I have followed a lot of Montessori ideas, and I feel like
Mhm.
that is, it lines up pretty well. And I try to emulate that whenever I'm trying to, I don't know, uh, set up their play or, learning or
Yes,
whatever here at the house.
definitely. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, that open-ended play, just
Yes. Open ended play.
opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, opportunities for them to just use their imagination.
Yes. I definitely, and I think now I'm saying this out loud, but I'm thinking it, but I feel like some of your open ended play and some of your toys that I saw, like that you were suggesting or posting,
Hmm.
that's what got me on a lot of those because I was like, this makes so much more sense. Like, I want my kids to have imaginations. I don't want it all to be like a complex toy to begin with. Like, I want them
Yeah,
to be able to use their little imaginations and figure different things out through, what, I don't know, the tools we're giving them and what they're
yeah,
playing with and stuff. So, yeah, that's cool.
yeah. Good job,
Um,
Mom.
oh no. We're all just like learning as we go via other
uh,
Instagram moms,
yeah. It's
basically.
true. It's true. Oh, it's not always this mom.
Right. Again, the good things about social media. Um,
Definitely.
okay, so what about activities? And I wrote like, outdoor activities,
Hmm.
activities in general. I don't know, my mind's going to like, music and things like that. Like what do y'all do in the line of activities and outdoor play and stuff?
Yeah. Well, we're fortunate to live on a lot of acreage. And so there's no neighbors, like my neighbors. So my husband's whole family lives on the ranch, but
Okay.
none of us are close to each other.
Yeah.
And I, as like geographically close to
Right.
each other. I mean, we're close.
You have to make that statement in case anybody listens.
Disclaimer. Yes. uh, and so, I don't have to worry about, let me preface. I tell my kids, okay, go play outside. It's a beautiful day.
Hmm.
Most of the time, I don't have to tell them that. But
Yeah.
every now and then, hey, go outside. It's a beautiful day. Um, and I don't have to worry about strangers,
Right.
right? I don't have to worry about anything really aside from look out for snakes. I say that 100 times a
Yes.
day.
Yes. Yes.
But gosh, I mean, we've got the trampoline, we've got a go-kart, we've got my son Preston. He loves sports, all the sports, and
Yes.
so most of the time, right now it's baseball season, so you're gonna catch him, throwing a
Hmm.
ball and throwing a ball up and hitting it. Um, but truly, even with the toys that we have inside, I truly just try to set them up with like the possibilities are endless,
Yeah.
and that's also why I love the open-ended play so
Yes.
much. Um, just being outside, I don't care what you do out there.
Hmm.
Just go be outside and be a kid
Hmm.
and you know climb the wall if you want to,
Right.
and probably better if I'm not looking so that my heart doesn't, skip a beat. Like go
Yes.
go get dirty
Yeah.
and make a mess. um I'd rather it outside than inside,
Yeah,
but
hey, that's true. That's true. I keep reading all these things about how much energy, especially like supposedly little boys
yeah,
need to expel every day.
absolutely. Yeah.
And I mean, I've got three of them, and yeah, I try to kick them outside as often as I as I
Yeah.
can, especially like when they get home from school. I'm like, I just try to not even take them inside at that point. I bring the water out to them.
Right.
Here you go.
There you go. There you go. I love it. Here's your snacks and your water. Again, set them up for success. I love that.
Yes, yes. Okay, I this one again. I stalk you on Instagram. Have you gotten that yet? Um,
Well, I haven't posted in so long, so sorry, I haven't given you
no.
much to talk about.
No, maybe stalk is a strong term, I hope, but I definitely love everything that you post there, and you inspire me with some of your cooking and stuff. So
Oh,
um
thank you.
I feel like, our topic here, we're talking about summer ideas. And one of the things that I do have to be very intentional about is meal times. Otherwise, it's going to be
Hmm.
chicken nuggies and PB&Js, every day.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I've gotten to where during the summer, at least, when I know they're going to be home more consistently, I literally write out like a meal calendar like you see printed off at the
Yeah.
cafeteria.
Yeah, you
Um,
go,
well,
girl.
I have to because I'm not kidding. Like it's just that the meal times I think sneak up on me and it's like they are starving all of a sudden, and I'm
Hmm.
scrambling. Um, so I have to try to like think ahead and plan ahead. Plus, then hopefully I have the groceries to do what I might want to do.
Right.
But we don't always have a lot of time either. But I know you're a good cook. Do you have any go-to recipes, dinner or lunch? Quick things, snacks. Like I'm looking for all the
Yeah.
ideas because I need to fill in
Yeah.
my calendar for this summer. I still haven't finished it all.
Well, don't get, I feel like all day long, my kids, I'm hungry. I'm
Yeah.
hungry. Okay, well, listen,
Yeah.
there's the refrigerator,
Yeah.
there's the pantry. Go find something. So I do because of that, because I'm not trying to make 3 meals a day. Truly, I'm not every
Mhm.
single day. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do that.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I try, to keep the pantry and the fridge stocked with, semi-healthy things so that
Yeah.
if they are snacking all day long, I'm not feeling like a total failure.
Yes.
But as far as like lunches go, one of my favorite things to do, and maybe you've done this before, is get, just like an old, like a muffin pan,
Okay.
and just put, you know, here's some baby tomatoes in this little circle. Here's some fruit and like different fruits in this one. Here's some nuts in this one. Here's some turkey in this one. And something that like on if it were all on a normal plate, they would probably eat it anyway, or maybe not. Honestly, they choose to be picky at the most random times. I'm like, you
Yes.
ate that yesterday. What do you mean you don't like that
Yeah.
now? But when I found that when I fill every single circle in a muffin pan with something, some sort
Mhm.
of a food, they go crazy. They're so excited about it. And I think it's the presentation,
Yes, I was gonna say
and it
presentation
wins
is
every
everything.
time. Yes, every time. So if you haven't done that yet,
Yeah, I
do it.
love that. I
Yes.
love that. Definitely gonna do that. I've done the whole, I try to make it special when I can. Like, okay, we're gonna do a picnic lunch. They have like a little place set outside with a little picnic
Yes.
table, and a lot of times they will do better there.
Hmm.
Or if I have something that's not messy, um, I'll tell them like, okay, you can eat this, while you're playing, which probably isn't good. But just honestly, I'm just trying to change it up where they'll eat it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes they just get excited because they're like, we don't have to eat at the table. Yes. Um,
Yes.
so, and then I think one of the only other things that I did last summer that I need to break out again is um, I got, in fact, I think your dad gave them to us, Brian, a couple of like silicone molds, like popsicle molds.
Oh yeah.
And I would do like, I mean, I didn't even get fancy with it at all. I would just scoop our favorite like Greek yogurt into it with
Yeah.
some cut up, strawberries or whatever fruit, and freeze it. And I would keep those on hand, like I had to, because
Perfect.
they would, and even if they don't finish it, because it's not like those melt away like a typical, or they don't hold like a typical popsicle, I should say,
Right.
because they're
Right.
real. But
They don't have all the preservatives
yeah.
in them.
But in my head, I'm like, look, if they get a couple licks off this thing, that makes me feel better about life. So,
Winning.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I'm glad you just said that because last summer, I started it a couple summers ago, but I haven't done it yet this summer. My kids love pickles. And so one of our favorite brands of pickles is called Grillos. Have you had those?
I don't think so. You just
All
got
right.
Brian's ears up though. He's like sitting up
He's
listening.
perked up.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, no junk in them, like none of
Okay.
the dye or things that come in other pickle brands. And they're so good. Well, so I started to make pickle popsicles, and all I would do was just pour the pickle juice into a popsicle mold, and they ate those things up. So there's an
Wow.
idea. There's an
Yeah, no,
idea.
that's a really good
Pickle
idea
pop.
because at least so my oldest, he loves pickles. So I
Yeah.
would definitely have to do that for him. He would be
I
obsessed.
bet you'd like that.
Yeah. Okay, so we're working through. I had a lot of questions for you, like maybe more than I've had for most of our
That's
guests.
okay.
But okay, I know you live a decent ways from town, right? Maybe
Yeah,
not.
I mean, it takes us like 15 minutes
Oh,
to
okay.
get
That's not as
into
bad at all.
town. Not terrible. No,
Okay.
it's all back roads, you know. I
Gotcha.
mean, I can get there in 12 if we're running late enough.
I hear that. Yeah. Okay. So, will you look into any like summer activities? Because that was one of my ideas too. I didn't use it as much as I should have last year, but
Mhm.
because I wasn't sure, I feel like it's been better done this year. Our library put out like a whole like a brochure with different dates that they're
Oh,
going to do
great.
special things. So, will you look into kind of like some summer activities or things like that?
Yes. So luckily, Preston's at the age now where he knows what he likes,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's not like, hey, you think you want to do this? Think you want to do this? Like he knows what he likes and I know what he likes.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, this is the first summer that I'm actually gonna like sign up for some camps.
Oh, cool.
Um, for him specifically, he went to a jujitsu camp last summer and fell in love with it and then started doing jujitsu after that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do that again. I signed him up for an art camp because his art teacher from his school posted on Facebook that she was going to do an art camp. So that just kind of worked out
Oh, yeah,
perfectly.
that's
He loves
nice.
art. And it's not, and by the way, this isn't like 5 days a week thing, right? It's
Right.
like once a week and then like
Okay.
sign up each week if you want to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I signed him up for he loves golf. And
I've seen that. He
so
has a
at the
great swing.
thank you. um, so there's at the country club in town, it's a golf, tennis, and swim camp. So like they'll start out with golf for an hour or so and then transition into tennis and then they'll swim and eat lunch and then I'll go pick them up. So
Very nice. I didn't
so
even think
yeah,
about the country club. That's interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
of course.
yeah. So this is like the first summer that I'm really going to lean into a couple of camps,
Mm-hmm.
whereas in the past I haven't done that.
Yeah. I know we're gonna do our second round of swim lessons for our oldest, and then
Yes.
first round for our middle. So, well, he'll be a
Yeah,
little
we're doing
younger than
that
we
for
were.
Maddie.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it
Do y'all
goes.
have a pool?
No, we don't. We go to a lady in town who's been doing it for
Mhm.
a long time. I know a lot of people that have come through her her
Yeah.
swim class. So she was great
It's
last year.
necessary. It's so
Yes.
necessary. I wish we had, the ISR, but not
Yes.
where we live. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, Maddie will do swim lessons again this summer. We're excited about that.
Yeah. No, those are all great ideas that you have, though. I hadn't even thought about camps. We'll do. I think we're going to do a vacation Bible school that his
Hmm.
school is going to host, and we may look into a couple of other churches that I know will be doing Bible schools if he likes it. Like if he
Right.
enjoys it, and depending on their setups too. But I guess my point is there's stuff going on. Like even like you said. Like the art teacher at school posted something,
Yes.
and maybe this is a good time to do like a little season of like piano lessons or those are
Right.
good things to think too because it'll also give some structure to your week if you're
Agreed.
struggling with that part of it. So
I'm with
um,
you. I do better when we have busier weeks because I can look at my planner
yeah.
and okay, we have this going on and this going on,
Yeah. When you
rather
have
than,
busier weeks, you're not looking at
well,
your watch like, what time is it
right.
still?
What are we? Is it nap time yet?
Exactly. All right. Well, we've covered a lot. Do you have any other thoughts you want to share? Anything else you want to cover?
I really, we're just talking about like activities and what are we going to do with the kids and different types of play. Honestly, I really think one of the best things that we can do for our kids is let them be bored.
Yeah.
And I know that that can be a transition for some,
Mm-hmm.
and totally out of the norm for some. But it's okay for our kids to be bored. We don't have to be on the ground playing with them, doing all the things with them 24/7. And I think, we talked about the TV. a lot of our kids don't know what boredom is because it, like we were talking about earlier, like, okay, well, I need to get this done, so go watch TV,
Yeah.
right? Or like, or here's this iPad, or here's this phone, or
Mm-hmm.
here's an electronic to keep you busy. And
And stimulate
and we're
you.
not here. Yes, here is constant stimulation. And so now when I've told you, you have to turn that TV off or you have to give up the iPad, whatever that's going to look like. Well, of course there's a meltdown,
Yeah.
right? And so I think truly the best thing we can do is just like let them be and see the magic that happens,
Yeah.
see what they create, see. And again, there may be a bit of a meltdown before the magic happens.
Yeah. For
But
sure.
I promise you, like magic will come from it.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's funny. It's like, what are the activities that you're doing and what are the toys and all the things? But like, let's let our kids be kind of bored
Yeah.
and they'll have the best summer ever.
Yeah. That's an excellent point. Maybe one of the better ones we've made so far. I love it. Because yeah, I think structure is good. It helps everybody. It helps them to know what to expect and not have to, I don't know, react. So I think structure is good. Structures for good is good for us too. But then that open endedness is also healthy.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
figuring out like a balance, figuring out where you need routine, where
Yeah,
you need structure, and then where it can be a little more open ended is probably key. Um,
absolutely.
and then one thing that Brian has always been good about doing is like reevaluating. Like if it's not going well, figure out something else. He'll stop us. I'll just
Yeah.
keep going. Like
Yes.
um what's the definition of insanity, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll
I
keep
won't
doing it,
say
and
it.
Brian will be like, okay, we've got to change something. So if you're
Yeah.
trying something, you give it a little time. If it's not working, try something else. Because
Yeah.
also like all of our kids and all of our situations are different, so it's going to look different on
Yeah,
everybody. But
definitely.
I think you've made some really good points and some good ideas for us. So I really appreciate that. Um, and before we let you go, I want to ask you a question that we try to ask all of our guests at some point. Um,
Okay.
so, what has been a game changer in your faith? And it could be like a practice or a habit that maybe you started or let go, or some kind of epiphany you had, like just what has,
Yeah.
and it can be recent or a long time ago. So,
Yeah. Good question. Gosh, I really just I think I'm just, gonna lean into the premise of this conversation is
mm-hmm.
just motherhood
Okay.
and homeschooling.
Mm-hmm.
There is no possible way that I could do this without Jesus on my
Mm.
side.
Yes.
Like, there are hard days, and there are days when I am probably talking to him more than my own children because I'm like, Lord, help me get through this.
Yes.
One thing when you're with your kids as often as I have and intentionally chosen to be with
Right.
my children, um, you 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 have to give yourself so much grace,
Oh, yeah.
right? You have to, of course, we have to give them grace, but I find that I have to give myself so much grace.
Yes.
And um, oftentimes, like I'll lay on my down on the pillow at night, and like I'm hard on myself. Like,
Yeah.
man, what did I do okay today? Did I do okay, Lord?
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I snapped at Preston one too many times, or I was
Mm-hmm.
too hard on Madison. Instead of sending her to her room, I should have stopped and talked to her like it was a teachable moment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if those conversations, I mean, I could have them with my husband, and I do, right?
Right.
But he doesn't totally get it
Mm-hmm.
because while he is here, he's not here in the mundane of
Yeah.
what we're doing all day long.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think really taking a step back and having a lot and growing in my own personal faith and self awareness and emotional intelligence, because I I have to lead by example for my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there is no possible way that I could do that if I weren't a believer.
Yeah.
Um, and have you noticed how many homeschool moms are Christians?
Yes. Yeah.
Like all of us.
Yes, because yeah, you're right. You're right. It's a good point.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
like,
there's a lot about the Bible and about our relationship with God that has become so much clearer now that
mhm,
I have kids, and I know me and Brian say that
amen.
all the time. Um,
Yes.
the relationship between us and our kids is like the closest glimpse we get to how God feels for us, and
Yeah,
how much grace he gives us, and so therefore we should give ourselves
yeah,
when we're having those
it's true.
days. But no, I like that.
It's true.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and maybe we'll have you back on for a topic down the road. I've enjoyed this.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for having me and reaching out, and yeah, I'm really appreciative of it.
Man, you didn't tell me Callie was going to be such an outstanding guest coming in.
She was.
I know. I just sat back there and just listened to all that wisdom coming out. I have to admit, I do think Jesus has to be there to be able to stay home with the kids.
Yes.
On the few days that I have to do it, it is a challenge
You
for
require
sure.
a lot of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also not near as organized as y'all with it, so it always turns into something going a little wild. But I really liked how she said keeping the letting bored happen.
Yes.
That is something that I really think with our generation specifically.
Yeah.
So I'm earlier than you, but technically millennials. And so we're the first generation who's going through having had cable,
Yeah.
coming up with the internet,
Mhm.
iPhones, iPads, everything at your fingertips,
Mhm.
and you hear about the generation younger than us and how their attention span is. And
Yeah.
that's why baseball needed to be sped up, and
Mhm.
kids don't even watch the whole games anymore. They just watch the highlights on YouTube. And
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's a real thing. And I just think it's all because of this instant gratification,
Yeah.
instant reaction, all that stuff. And so I really think there's something beautiful in the let them be bored.
Yeah.
Let them figure it out. It's why kids don't have
Well,
imaginations
that's what I
anymore.
was going to say. The imagination thing. That's what I was going to say because if you're not bored, you don't exercise your imagination.
I even noticed it today. Not that we're the world's best at it. We have used the TV as a babysitter just like everyone else.
Oh yeah.
But we had it off today after
Mhm.
church, and the kids were playing with the magnetiles and just
Yeah.
kind of building their own things. And after they had fun for a while, then we let them watch a movie.
Yeah.
But they were all three of them, and they all were playing separately, and that
Yes.
was pretty cool. Even Dylan was playing with the cars.
Yeah. No, exactly. I think she made a really good point. And, you made the point about like all the stimuli that we deal with. And I agree with that. The other thing that I think this generation deals with so much is, with social media, we see the best parts of everybody's life,
Right.
which then equates to some form of guilt for ourselves or envy.
Uh huh.
And so, like, as a mom, if I'm not sitting in the floor playing with them, like every time lapsing mom is doing,
Or like Bluey's parents.
yeah, exactly. Or like Bluey's parents, if I'm not sitting in the floor playing with them, I have like mom guilt.
Yeah.
And like Callie said, like let them go figure out what to do on their own.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's
I mean, ours aren't quite at the age to just punt them outside and say good luck, but
yeah, we do have to keep an eye on them,
I
but
can't wait for that day.
yeah, but I thought that was a really good point that she made. So, um,
What are
another
your
point,
thoughts?
well, another point that I liked a lot it just had not occurred to me. Um, I did last year when I did this curriculum, I would start off with like reading time, how she was saying,
Uh huh.
but she does read aloud time. And the way she was saying it, they're not having to sit there in the circle and have all their attention on you. They're just doing like quiet play while
Yeah.
you read something. But they're still taking that in. I love that. And I think we're definitely, I already have it written down as a note that we're going to try to incorporate this summer. And what'll be great about it, I think, is, it, it can be hard to read kids the Bible because if you've got their whole attention, you're going to lose it because they're
Pretty
not going to
instantly.
pretty instantly with
Because
a
adults
Bible
lose it pretty
story. Yeah,
instantly.
exactly. But if you're reading a Bible story that's not really like necessarily pared down to children's language,
Yeah.
they're going to kind of check out pretty quickly. But incorporating Bible stories while they're doing like a quiet playtime, just in a read aloud session, I think that could be really valuable. So I definitely want to do that this summer.
We got to start doing the music too. I like that.
Yes.
Finally found a use for all those music channels that come with cable that have never been, maybe for like a Christmas party you turn them on. That's about it.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna have to find like the Bluetooth speaker for Leanne so she can
Yeah.
connect hers. But okay, so let's kind of summarize here because I had a couple of additional points. I think for me, I'm gonna try to do 4 things this summer.
Okay, 4. Here we
Yeah,
go.
here we go. Number one is like lax routines.
Okay.
To provide some structure,
Uh-huh.
but and I don't want I want them to enjoy summer, so it's going to be lax, but routines help, structure
They
helps.
like that.
They do, because they know what to expect. And then obviously homeschool. I'm doing my air quotes here, but
Yeah,
some kind of lesson or, you know, some kind of
get that Excel file out.
yeah, get my Excel file out, and they'll go over something. Um, and I'll share some more ideas about that, I think, probably this week. But
Hmm.
I usually try to pick kind of a theme and then do hit it from different dynamics and different aspects. So
Yeah.
homeschool. And then something new this summer that we're gonna do is I'm incorporating a chore board.
Oh, yeah. I've
Yeah.
been wanting that.
Yeah, so I got one, and follow us on Instagram. I'll link it. It's one that's like magnetic. You can stick it on your fridge or
Yes.
any other appliance, really. And so I'm gonna incorporate a chore board because they are beyond past the age, and,
Yeah, we won't have to clean anymore. This will work.
but just to give them simple things, um, like because I tried to think about it with like what drives me nuts and how can they help with that. So one example is like they leave their PJs out after they get dressed.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
one of the deals I'm putting on there is put your PJs away. Another one is they leave their dishes everywhere. Like they're taking their snacks and they're leaving their cups and stuff everywhere, and I'm constantly finding like old milk.
Oh, man. Those of you with kids. Old milk. I will take any dish, any cup, anything, any day. You leave the milk out, and it spoils in like 10 minutes. And
Yeah.
it becomes a rock, and it's just
Oh,
gross.
gross. Okay. So yeah, that is going to be a line on their chore board is to put their breakfast dishes away.
I like the chore board. Did you see the reel I had sent you like a few days ago?
Oh yeah, about like
Yeah.
kids with responsibilities.
Yeah, I don't know if it's real or not. It looked real, but
It,
it's
it
also a
talked
real.
about a study. It referenced a study,
A Harvard
anyways.
study, so it's gotta be
Oh,
good.
okay.
It was something like, I don't know, like 400 or 500 kids or something. They
Hmm.
followed them for like 70 years, and the only thing that correlated with self-esteem was whether they had consistent chores, jobs,
Right.
work. So, and it makes sense if
Yeah.
you've been taking care of that.
Accomplishments.
It was a farm life type thing,
Yeah.
But give your kids something to do. It'll
Yeah.
build their self-esteem.
Well, and you realize like I'm making myself crazy, and they can help.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly.
So, yeah. And then my fourth thing I'm going to try to do this summer because I didn't do it as much last summer, is kind of explore local summertime activities.
Yeah, you had a list of that already. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. So our library put out a brochure that has like all of their dates on it and everything,
Which is
and then
cool because you can plan it.
yeah, exactly. And then there's a couple of other things that I want to look into and try
Some
to.
golf.
That's your summertime activity set.
Well, look, did they not ask to go play golf today?
Yes, June did ask to go play golf. But yeah, so I'm going to try
Didn't
to
even have to coach it.
incorporate some summertime activities. And then for myself, this is separate, but
Ooh,
for myself,
self help.
well, working from home mostly, and they're going to be here, so I'm going to try to be very cognizant of transition times.
Okay,
So, like when I'm working, but when I am done with all of that, um, I can transition and be present with them.
very good.
Yeah. Some resources I wanted to share too. So for me, I get a lot of my ideas off of Pinterest, actually. It's like the only thing I crack open that app for.
Oh,
But they have good craft ideas, good recipes, but mainly I'm looking for like craft ideas, lesson ideas. And as I was doing that the other day, I ran across another good resource that I had no idea existed. But pretty much everybody these days has magnetiles.
yes.
And I was looking and I saw an idea for like a lesson with magnetiles. And so I clicked on it and was like, oh, yes, we love magnetiles. And
Yeah, our kids are freaks with them too.
they are. June designs, like he makes me think he's
Yeah.
going to be some kind of like
He
architect or
even knows what to
something.
do with all the odd
He
triangles.
does.
Like,
He does. He builds things better than me. That spaceship he made today, I could
I
never do
know.
that. So yeah, we love magnetiles. So I clicked on this deal when I saw magnetiles. I was like, yes. And it took me to a site. It was the magnetile site, and they provide a curriculum
Huh.
for like different ages, like what to do with magnetiles if your kid's just a toddler, what to do with them if they're older, and like had all these
Genius of
different.
them to do that.
I know. So plug for magnetiles that
Yeah.
you can go and look and like choose your child's age, and they're not like super in depth, and there's not a lot of them, but there's a whole booklet of like 50 pages.
Well, that's a lot. What are you talking about? There's not a lot of them. 50
Well,
pages?
because it's broken down by age. But yeah, that kind of thing exists
What
too.
do adults do with magnetiles?
I didn't
I
scroll
have
that
one for
far.
that.
um, but it also got me thinking about all of the resources that are available. Like, there's a lot of those. I can't. I'm not gonna be able to think of the name, but like the brain babies or brain
Something.
something. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do it.
Just put
But
it on
anyways,
Instagram later.
I bet that if you have any of that kind of style of toy, or even any of these like open-ended toys like we talked about earlier, I bet if you go on their website they have some ideas. Just like, when I bought our Nugget couch,
Yeah.
which also shout out to Nugget because we love that thing.
Yeah.
That's
They're
one of the
great.
best purchases I've made. But if you go on their site, they have all kinds of ideas of different like forts and contraptions and obstacle things you can do with
Mm-hmm.
nuggets. So if you have toys like that, um, maybe look it up on their website or Google it. A lot of times when I'm trying to I Google like a lot
Rotate
of.
those toys that you got.
Yes, yes. I rotate toys. That's a big one. That's another one of the tips that I listed is rotate your toys. Whether it's just taking them from one room to another or hiding some in the closet for a while and then bringing them back out later.
Yeah.
If you rotate the toys or rearrange whatever your playroom is, I guarantee you, if you rearrange it just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
the kids come in there and they're like, oh,
Yeah. It's really funny.
it's new. Um,
Start thinking you don't need to get them anything for Christmas.
yes, exactly. Well, we don't, honestly, but
Just rotate it around.
So that is one thing that, I haven't done it in a while. I rearranged our sunroom to get ready for summer, but um, I haven't rotated toys in a long time just because
Now
they
it's
haven't
summer,
been.
so
I know.
perfect thing to do.
So I'm gonna get back in the habit of doing that. I would say like every 2 weeks, maybe.
Oh, jeez.
Rotate toys. I mean, you don't have to do a mass overhaul every 2 weeks, but if you just move some things,
See,
that
I'm not good
is.
at that. I just get out the bag and I'm like, what are we getting rid of?
But yeah, that's another thing I'm gonna do. But yeah, back to the toys and nuggets and stuff. Just look
Sorry.
up. No, you're fine. Just look up. Look those up or Google it and see. They might have some resources for you. I use a lot of like if I have a certain lesson in mind or a certain thing I want them to add, like a color sheet. You can put anything like if farm free printable and if you put that in Google, it will
Yeah,
give you
that's
all
about all.
kinds
I
of.
was good at Paw Patrol for that for a while.
Yes,
Just getting
exactly.
images. Make your own coloring books.
Yeah, if they have a favorite show, Paw Patrol, free printable, and you can just print out something for them to color. This, what I'm going to be graduating to a little more as they get older is like, um, the tracing their names. You can get the template for them to be able to trace their names.
Cool.
So, like for Clyde, he can do that. So, anyways, lots of resources out there is
Yeah.
my point. And I know I've missed some things, even though I've rambled for a while. I know I've missed some things, but just if you aren't already, follow us on our Instagram
Yes.
because I'm going to be sharing some more stuff. Like I said, I know I've forgotten some things, so I'll share it this week. And then also want to get some thoughts from our followers
Yes.
because I'm sure you guys have some good ideas and things that you've stumbled across that have worked for y'all. So I'll be doing some question boxes and some polls and stuff on Instagram, and I will share that throughout the week. So at discuss underscore
Yeah,
with
there it
us. Pause for a second.
So that's going to wrap up this episode. Once again, want to thank Kali for coming on and giving us her thoughts and
Yes.
helping us figure out what to do this summer with the
Mm-hmm.
kids. As we mentioned earlier, if you're a parent and you've got kids, I think this is obviously a good episode. But if you're not a parent or maybe you're a grandparent, single, I bet you 10 to 1 you know somebody who has kids.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're a grandparent, summertime, you might be helping
you may
out.
Be helping out,
Yeah.
yeah, like ours tend to do.
Yeah.
So, anyways, this would be a good episode. We always appreciate likes, shares, follows on the podcast, on the Instagram.
Yeah.
Become a follower of the pod and our page, and
Yeah.
do all the things like, share, follow as you know
Yeah.
how to do.
Yeah, this is a really easy one to share with a young mom or dad who's going to have their kiddos home this summer.
Exactly. As the preview for next week, once you get them hooked on us now, it's going to be Father's Day coming up. So we're going to do a Father's Day podcast from yours truly right here on what it's like being a dad. We already did the what it's like being a mom from Darcy.
Motherhood episode.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you all about being pregnant from the dad's perspective, obviously. There's a lot to unpack there.
Oh, Lord.
But you have to stay tuned for that next week. So, as we have unpacked this summer before it even gets kicked off and what to do with those kiddos now that they're home, now that we've unpacked it, you go discuss.